we're trying to make them very quick and very informative, and so it's easy for you guys to accept the invitations. We also are throwing in a lunch. Hopefully you've gotten your Uber Eats voucher and you can order whatever you want. So you can eat while you're watching, while you're learning. That's the concept. Some people, you're welcome to keep the voucher if you want to eat later. If you want to eat before, that's also up to you. But it's just we're trying to have a very casual learning session that doesn't take too much of your time and hopefully isn't boring. Introducing myself, for those of you who haven't met me, I'm Colin Thornton, one of the directors of Terito and Dialer, as a matter of fact, our sister company, which I'm going to come to later. And I'll be hosting today. And I can see a couple more people coming in, so thanks for joining us. We want to keep these up, like I said, every single month, and we would really appreciate your input. If you've got ideas for future sessions, we'd love to hear about it. You can talk to your account manager, you can drop an idea into the chat. We've had previous sessions on Zero Trust, cybersecurity, Azure, data security, Poppy. We've had a couple of topics, and we look forward to many more. The way we run it is that we bring in a key partner. Terito's got many partners, but we've got a couple of key partners that we invite to sessions like this. We want to try and find subject matter experts and bring them into the room. They do a 10-15 minute presentation. We don't want to make it, we're trying to stay away from standard stuff. A lot of people in the room are IT people. We've got IT managers, we've got CIOs, CTOs. So this is not supposed to be it's not supposed to be a deep dive, but it's also not supposed to be like a high level, just a summary. It's supposed to be a bit of technical, a bit of interesting stuff that you hopefully don't know about. We're trying to add maximum value. A lot of the stuff we talk about doesn't necessarily cost anything extra. It's just supposed to be, help you do your job better or help you look after your business better. This time we've got Justin and Clayton from Redstor, one of our key backup partners. Redstor is a phenomenal product. We're going to try not to focus too much on the product itself. We're going to talk about backup principles, but at the end of the day, Justin and Clayton are from Redstor, so they're going to be using Redstor as an example, and they're going to be talking about the principles that are important and how they deal with those things. I don't want to take too much longer, but one of the reasons I'm hosting this session is that I started Dialer, Terito's sister company, around 25 years ago. And for me, backups was like the #1 most stressful thing we dealt with. For those of you who know Dialer, you know that we dealt with home users and small businesses. No matter what size organization you have, backups are crucial. Everyone in the room knows that. I had numerous experiences running Dialer that were by far and away the worst of my career, and they all came down to backups or the lack thereof. I'm not going to share, I've got one story to share with you too, actually, but a Dialer story is a customer that didn't have backups, had a crashed hard drive. She came to our office. I'm not going to repeat the language she used, but she tried to put her cigarette out in my face. And that, sort of gives you an idea of the emotion that can get caught up with the lack of backups or losing your data. And I think we can all relate to that, although not necessarily by putting a cigarette out in someone's face. The second story is much more recently. Terito has a customer that will remain unnamed that, we've tried to, they're not on the most advanced cybersecurity protection in the world. They've got fairly straightforward antivirus. And at the end of last year, mid to end of last year, they got a ransomware attack. We did not, our alerts, because of the systems they were running, did not let us know about the ransomware. What let us know about the ransomware was the backup. Redstor issued an alert, which via our systems came up as like a serious red flag. It was a Sunday afternoon at like 2 p.m. Redstor had picked up ransomware in the backup. And that was the only reason we knew that there was ransomware loose in the network. So that's one of the things we're going to touch on today is backups, not just a repository for data or a backup, there's a whole bunch more to backups nowadays, and Justin and Clayton are going to share some of those things with us. So just in terms of housekeeping, as usual with a team session, and this is an open team session, so please keep yourself on mute when it's not your turn to talk. Raise your hand if you've got a point. Justin's going to take over right away. He might not stop if you do have a raised hand. He might stop at the end to take your questions. Feel free to type questions in the chat. We'll certainly talk about them afterwards. And then what we do with these lunch and learns, if we've got time, we don't want to waste you guys' time, but if we've got some time at the end of the session, we're going to open it up and have some debates or questions. We've had really, really good interaction in the past with some of our existing customers and some of our new customers or some of our potential customers where we get some collaboration going and sharing some ideas. So if we've got time for that, it's brilliant. And that's it for me. I'm going to hand over to Justin from Redstor and enjoy the session. And please remember to give us feedback afterwards or ideas for future sessions. We are really appreciative of those. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Colin. You mentioned that there's some IT managers and CIOs in on this call, so I hope none of them are from Porsche or related to Porsche whatsoever. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. To kickstart, my name's Justin. I'm from Redstor, and what I do is I help companies focus on technologies and systems that they can deploy into their environments to ultimately mitigate risks of cyber attacks. So I think a good case study to use was the most recent one that was published here in South Africa, being Porsche. They suffered some sort of ransom attack 2-3 weeks ago where they were locked out of their critical systems. It took down several of their environments and at least some of their backups. So what we're looking at there is the attackers getting into their environment through some new technology or new scheme called Forced, where it's done through torrent downloads, through email downloads. So there's no actual real way to see how they got into the Porsche environment. But if Porsche, being a German company and globally recognized, they've got policies left, right, and center. So you know they had all of their T's crossed and their I's dotted, but these guys still somehow managed to get into their environment. But in a perfect world, a company would have been able to quarantine that infected system, basically purge the virus and reinstall a backup copy of that environment. But at this stage, we don't even know if a ransom was paid, what's actually happening in that transaction, if they're trying to recover their data. But it's put Porsche in a very precarious situation. You know, do I pay the 35 Bitcoin that these guys are asking for and maybe get my data back? And then if it's paid, will I get my data back? And they're not going to do some sort of double extort where they take my data and they threaten me again, saying that they're going to release it to the public if I don't make another payment of Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever they plan on doing. But what I'm trying to emphasize here is that these safety measures highlight the contingency plans that businesses across all sectors need to implement. And what we're going to go through in this lunch and learn presentation is just some technologies that should be reviewed from a proactive and a reactive measure. So this is like mitigating your risk of a cyber attack, proactive technologies that can help identify malware within your estates, and then also further technologies that can be used to restore your data in near immediate speeds. So starting off, I'd like to kick off with malware detection. As the name gives away, it detects malware, but this specifically relates to your backed up data. So it's a proactive measure that is deployed to scan every single file and folder in your environment. And what it does is it's looking for ransomware or malicious code. So once that ransomware or the malicious code is detected, it's quarantined and flagged, and notifications are sent through to your IT administrator, notifying them about what's been discovered dormant or sitting in your backed up data. So what this does is it gives you a lot more control as to what's going on. It gives you insights into the severity of the threat. I think from this image, you can see that there's an 88% chance of a file in the accounting group on an M365 user being ransomware. but it lets you see what's going on. You're not just storing backed up data thinking, if I get a ransomware attack, I'm going to be able to restore it, because that's what they go for first, your backed up data. Once they've got that, they've got you hook, line, and sinker, and they can do whatever they want with you. So with the AI-driven malware detection, you're able to get detailed reports. This would establish where that file is located in your backups and further actions that can be taken. So Clayton will demonstrate now. If we've got a previously safe version of that file, you can revert back to that. You can delete that file or folder in its entirety, or you can, mark it as safe. So the feature is designed to provide you with an additional layer of security. This is over and above the firewall that you've got in place. It's over and above the antiviruses you've got deployed on each of your laptops, desktops, whatever the case may be. But it's there to act as an additional layer of security over and above those, looking into your data, trying to find these ransom codes, ransom scripts that could potentially encrypt everything. So for peace of mind, our AI-driven malware detection can be run automatically, or it can be done manually. So as soon as you ingest the data, you can let this run through all your files and folders to pick up on any anomalies. But what this means for you in IT, so you've got this deployed in your environment. You know that you're able to pull clean data. It quarantines data before it actually gets backed up. So it's already been filtered. It gives you better insights into what data and if it's harmful sits on your actual network. And it's also a proactive measure to ensure that the malware is detected before actual encryption of your environment takes place. So next on the list is another proactive element, which we refer to as data tagging. So this feature gives you insight into how much of your data that is being backed up is classed as sensitive or highly sensitive. This allows you to better manage your exposure and your concentration of sensitive data onto specific environments. You'll find, for example, that you might identify that 80% of your company's most sensitive files are stored on a single machine, or you could have a user that's got access to 75% of your critical data. So how it works is the data is decrypted and sent via SSL to an extraction engine, where it is scanned within milliseconds. And what this does is it classifies the data based on criteria set by GDPR, FOI, and POPIA. So what data tagging would do for you is it's going to give you better insight into where your sensitive data sits and who has access to it. So from that, you can start taking business decisions to decide whether you're happy with the risk element of users having certain access to that data, the current location of that data, and just building up risk mitigation factors from a data sensitivity point of view. And then last but not least, the final element is a reactive product. So once your instant data, so once your backed up data needs to be restored in near real times, we use a technology like instant data. So instant data, or data on demand, allows admins to access their data from a cloud environment straight to a machine or a server with 3 clicks and a password. So it provides you with a virtual drive that users can access from their computer or server, and it gives them instant access to all their files and folders. So in summary, what our instant data or data on demand does is Netflix would be a good metaphor to use here, where you log into your account, you've got access to movies and series, but you don't necessarily need to watch all of them right now. You only need to watch a specific movie. You go through the list, you select the movie, and in under 5 seconds, it's already getting streamed straight through to your device. I think Clayton might give us an example of that. But what instant data allows us to do here is it reduces your downtime so that your users can access their data in near immediate speed. You've got to do a system restore. Generally speaking, other backup providers out there are going to require you to do a full restore. So you're waiting for all of those files and folders to be re-uploaded before you can access any of them. Whereas with this, it almost creates a hierarchy saying 95% of my data isn't necessarily needed right now. I need that 5% so that we can get working immediately. So you can select those files and folders and they get streamed straight to the person that needs them. So it's going to help reduce your bandwidth usage, as only your required data that you need right now is restored, while the full restore happens in the back end. Additionally, instant data, it provides a secure access to your backed up data, as users can access their data from an online interface where it's fully encrypted and it requires multi-factor authentication to access. So I'm going to hand over to Clayton now. I think I've done enough talking, and I think he's going to show you guys the look and feel of what we have to offer.
Thank you, Justin. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clayton Scholes. I'm the pre-sales engineer for Redstor. Let me just share my screen. Hey. Everyone can see my screen? Just give me a yes. Okay, 100%. So I'm going to dive into the malware detection page. This is basically how this page would look. As you can see, I've opened up one file here that has a probability score of 94%, so it's a possible Trojan. I can delete that file, or if the file is a false positive, I can actually mark it as safe. Very easy to use. Nothing really that the customer or yourself need to set up. It basically, once we just switch it on, it does all of that scanning on the back end. Over here, we've got the Red app. So basically, this is where all the Redstor magic happens. What I want to do is I want to quickly just set up a M365 OneDrive account just to show you how quickly it can be set up. So once I've logged in, done my multi-form authentication, I get to this page, can go and click on My Company. And in here, you can actually see there's a list of products that can be selected there. If you want to back up any of these other products, it's as easy as just clicking on them and adding whatever you need protected. With the malware over here, you'll see here's the suspicious files. If you click in that view, you'll actually see this view will have absolutely nothing. So my backups are all clean on my demo environment. So what we want to do is we want to go into Microsoft 365. And then I want to add a backup set from here. So I'm going to just click on the add button, add backup set. And it will ask me which service. So I want to add the OneDrive service and I want to sign in. And now I need to authenticate with my global M365 account. And then there's a couple of terms and conditions that you can have a read through. I've never ever seen anyone reading through terms and conditions. Let's accept that. And from there on, it will take me back to the Red app, and I can start deploying my backup. So with the groups, if you have Active Directory groups, you can actually use that using the Azure AD. But what I'm going to do is using users. So I'm going to click on users, click on next, and it will give me a list of my users over there. I can basically select all of them, or I can just deselect and select one. So you want to protect all of your users, include new accounts. That basically means that whenever anyone new joins the organization, the API will actually see that that person is there, and it will start automatically backing that up. Once that's all done, I've got a OneDrive backup set that's already running. You can go to your backup schedule, set up your daily backup times, or do a custom one where you can only back up Monday to Friday. I'll leave it on daily because some of the users, they work over weekends, so we want that data to be protected. From the backup selection, if you click on edit, it will give you that list again. And then the overview will tell you basically how much data is protected and when last was a successful backup. And it's as easy as that. And over here, if I click on the ellipsis on there, I can click on backup. and it will queue my backup. And from the notification bell, I can actually go and have a look and see at the notifications there. So I can see that there's a failed backup, there's my successful backups. I can check what tasks are running or what backups are in queue. And because I kicked off the OneDrive, you can see that's in queue over there. And that's as easy as that to set up OneDrive M3 on the M365 product. So if you like to set up Exchange, that's exactly the same, as well as your SharePoint and Teams. Quickly, just on the recovery. So I want to recover my OneDrive backup. So I can click on the ellipsis over there, and I go to recovery. I can either overwrite what data is in there, or I can create a new folder and it will recover directly back into the M365 tenant, or I can recover using the instant data. And with the instant data, this gives me the ability to recover my OneDrive backups to any endpoint. So as soon as we click on that, it will give me a download link. And once I've downloaded it, it will give me two options of permanent and temporary file access. I want to do the temporary file access quickly. So if I click on the temporary file access, got it open already here. I can go and select a drive letter. So temporary file access allows me to select a drive letter. So I'm going to go with drive letter T, and I'm going to mount that. So what's happening now is that my machine is accessing the data that's on our storage servers that is in Terraco, and I can actually start browsing my OneDrive data from my machine. And this is minimal bandwidth. I can actually go and have a look at my files over there, and I can go and click and copy whatever I need, basically what I need to edit. So I can say copy, and I can go into my C drive, create a little folder there called recovery. There's already one. Let's just use restore with today's date, 03/03. And I can paste that file, and I can start editing this file on my machine. Or let's say you've got some auditors that want to ensure that your backups are running, but you don't want to basically recover a terabyte worth of data. So using the instant data temporary would actually also just give that evidence that you can actually access your backups. Another one is the permanent file recovery. So with a permanent file recovery, I'm going to restore all of my data back onto my machine. And I actually want to show you that with a permanent file recovery, while the recovery is happening, I can go and prioritize a file. I'm just looking for my restore 03. If I click on that, and I click OK, and you can actually see there the recovery is starting. So that's restoring 800 megs of data. And I can actually go in here to my restore and into my OneDrive, and there is my list of data running. I want to open up this file here, go to properties, and you can see it's on 0 bytes, the size on disk. So right now I'm going to give priority to this video file, and it should start playing. And now what I can do, I can actually fast forward into this video, and it will recover each and every block for me as and when I need that data. And while all of this is happening in the background, the recovery is still running. You can see it's on 30%, but I already given priority to this file. And just for those blocks that I've actually fast forwarded in, that is only that was recovered. So you can see 61 megs, and the rest of the files are recovering in the background. And that's all from me, and I'll hand over back to is it Justin?
Clayton, thanks,
Yes.
Clayton. Byron has a question, or perhaps Justin could answer that.
Okay.
Is hosted Dynamics 365 backups possible with Redstor?
Hosted Dynamics.
Dynamics is in the ERP.
No.
Clayton, so hosted Dynamics ERP?
No, not yet. Not yet supported.
No problem. Thank you. Because that's a big concern, especially, with Microsoft being very secretive in terms of their whole backups, in terms of D365. They just mentioned in a white paper that it's backed up across multiple locations, but no one can really give you the detail of where those backups are sitting. And, your ERP with your financial system is probably one of your most critical systems. Try to give your IT auditors the comfort around the ERP sitting there and you're not sure where the backups are sitting. Can become quite difficult. So it's something we're actually battling with at the moment to say to our auditors, well, it's backed up, but I can't show you where, how often with all the different restore points because Microsoft manages it. And we hope they're doing a good job at that. But no, thanks.
Yes. Thank you. So that is in our pipeline. I have seen it. I don't know if the development have started. I'm not privy to that information yet, but it was something that was on our roadmap.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Cool. Thanks very much, Clayton. I'm gonna last slide over here, or second last slide before we get to the Q&A. But I just wanted to end off with saying that backup and recovery technology has changed over the years. Whether you've gone from tape to hard drives through to VMs and now hyperscale environments, the backup platform that you guys end up choosing needs to be as scalable in as many facets as possible. So if you're on a cloud migration strategy, you've got tin on site or some in the cloud, you don't want to have your backup platform holding you back, like it can't do the things you need it to do. So yeah, once again, thanks to everyone for joining. I'm going to open up the official Q&A now. Clayton is on the call, so if there are any technical questions, please feel free to fire them through. I understand there are some questions, Mal, that we've been asked.
Yes, we've got questions that the clients did submit when they RSVP'd, but I see William's got a question. Do you segment clients' data, especially for sensitive data, or is it an option? And then is data only stored in South Africa, or do you have an option for that?
You segment clients' data, especially. So on the data tagging side, yes, it comes down to the GDPR and POPIA compliance. So that's how your data is segmented from a sensitivity level. And then is data stored only in South Africa? So I think we need to look at that at a case-by-case study. You could have a multinational where there is locations around Africa, throughout the world, and it's not really going to help them if their data is only stored in South Africa. But long story short, for locally based businesses, we've got 3 DCs around the country, so it's a whole 3-to-1 rule. If you're a multinational, if we're not present in that country, there's no problem in spinning up environments to get that data backed up either.
Just to add on what Justin is saying, so we've got a data center in the US as well as in the UK, and with some partners in East Africa, we also have some data centers over there. Okay.
I think we just went live in Switzerland as well.
Yeah.
Add on, there's actually a few on the Australian side. 2, the next one is, can you choose to only back up SharePoint and not OneDrive? Yeah, spot on. So you get a la carte options there. You can use all 4 products, or you can only use one if you'd like. But yeah, if you want to back up only your SharePoint environment, then that's fine too. You're not limited.
Awesome, thanks, Justin. And then from what our clients when they RSVP'd, how much bandwidth would Redstor use?
So that one depends on the backup that we're doing. So infrastructure, that side of things, we need to get terabytes into the cloud somehow, so that might be bandwidth intensive. But once the backup or the snapshot is in the cloud, it's literally incremental backup. So any changes to files or folders, only that portion is backed up. Okay, so it's not bandwidth intensive.
Awesome. And then are there any hidden costs associated? I think that's referring to, because you'll buy the one thing, and then for malware detection you need extra. So yeah.
100%. So we've gone through a whole new global product review, and we've bundled everything. So it's a fixed fee per month. What you see is what you get. and this is also including the restoration side of things. So an example like M365 or Microsoft, if you have to do a restore recovery from there, they're going to charge you for that data used. Whereas with a product like this, you can do a restore every single day, and you're not going to get a surprise at the end of the month. It's a fixed fee per month. Also helps from a budgeting point of view in terms of forecasting, company growth. So yeah, no hidden costs. Buy this, so then you can buy the next thing. It's literally bundled together.
100%, thank you. And then how quickly can this be deployed was the last one.
I think that would be a user factor. Clayton managed to do it in under 3 minutes, and that's with explaining. So you can see it's very fast to deploy in those cloud-to-cloud environments. We've tried to make
3 clicks.
3 clicks and a password, and it should be done.
Yes.
Guys, anyone else got any questions? You're welcome to raise your hand and unmute yourself. You're welcome to type in the chat. We also, like I said, we're very cognizant of your time, and we want these sessions to be super short and convenient because we want you to join as many as possible in the future. William John?
How's it? So another question from our side is, how strong is your Linux game? I could see APIs to cloud. I could see Windows. Just want to make sure how strong your Linux game is. Few of us use Linux a lot.
Clayton, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm not on mute. There's a couple of flavors that we do support, so all of the latest, but a lot of like your Red Hats, Ubuntu's. If you like, we can actually share your compatibility matrix, and then you can actually have a look and see which of the flavors is supported.
Yeah, that's good. And then from a Linux server type of backup, I also presume backup when the one, restore to the other one is natively supported by your application. I mean, I have to presume that, but we can ask the question.
Okay, so basically, we'll put an agent on the actual machine. We'll back it up. You can recover all of your data back, but in terms of a full system recovery, you've got an option to recover that Linux machine back into Azure.
Azure, but let me paint a scenario. So let's say I'm backing up a database on a file system on the one server, and I want to take that exact backup, move it across, like let's say to Australia to another server. Will that be something possible inside your application layer, or is that something more specialized?
Yes, you will be able to do that. So you'll just basically install the agent on the Linux machine and recover the data back from.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks, William John. Anyone else? No, looks like we're sorted. Thank you, Justin and Clayton. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to all of you customers. Like I said, we really appreciate you taking the time, and we'd love to hear feedback. We'd love to hear if there are any topics you'd like to cover in future sessions. And hopefully you found this entertaining and useful, and we look forward to hosting you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
again.
Thanks,
everybody.
Okay, enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Are we staying on call or?
Yeah, maybe. In fact, let's do a separate one now.
Cool.
Can you arrange?
Yeah, to do it quickly.
Cheers, guys.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.